we're back. The Premier League is back, and I, for one, am absolutely delighted about that. It went off with an absolute bang, didn't it? Brentford against Arsenal. Who would have expected that result? I guess there would have been a few that probably would have predicted it. I thought Brentford might do all right this season, but I have to admit, I didn't think they'd go and beat Arsenal in the first game. That's going to be really interesting, actually, thinking about it. How trigger happy will Kroenke at Arsenal be if Arteta doesn't impress? And he's got to really impress this season, hasn't he? Really, it's his first managerial job, and he's carved out a wonderful reputation as a coach. But this is interesting. Anyway, we've got loads of fans on the way to Newcastle as we speak right now. Some of them would have stayed over overnight, I'm pretty sure, and had a good old night on the town, and be waking up with some sore heads this morning. And I'm pleased for them. It's just nice to be allowed out. So hopefully everybody, I say I'm pleased for them. I'm not pleased they got a sore head. I'm pleased that they were allowed out, and that's going to be really, really good. Our own Gio is Red Hammer, aka Red Hammer, is on his way up there right now as we speak this morning. So he's going to the game, which is going to be really, really good. I'm absolutely delighted for him. So we can look forward to hearing from him. I'm sure he'll send us a few snippets and a few clips. But it's all systems go, really. And I just for once, I know I had a bit of a whinge up yesterday about the state of the squad and about the transfers and whatnot. Put that to bed for now. We'll come back to that on Monday, I guess, and look what's happening there. But for now, it's just a case of it's the team, and I am absolutely delighted. I like the transfer window. I really do. I like it when we buy players. I like the gossip. I like seeing who's coming in and who's not coming in, should I say? And not just because we do Hammers Chat before we did any of this. I used to love it, and even back in the old days, and waiting for the page on Teletext and CFAX to come round and stuff like that, and Club Call and everything else. I've always loved the transfer tittle tattle, but it's a sideshow. It's a warm up. It's a bit of fluffing, isn't it? Really, let's be perfectly honest with you. Before the main event, before the big deal, which of course is the games themselves. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing so many players play. And there's a little bit of a shame that Lanzini is not available for this one. It appears to be so. Obviously, I'm recording this. It's close to midnight. Hey, great line from a song. It's close to midnight now. So by the time I probably finish updating this, it will technically be match day. As I understand it at the moment, Lanzini is not ready. He's not going to be fit, which is a bit of a shame. So we've got, I don't know about Ogbonna. Maybe Moyes going to surprise us. It would have been nice to have a few players on the bench. That being said, we will have a few players on the bench. They'll just probably all be goalkeepers, as we know. We've got enough in our first team to cause an upset, to cause some damage. I do think fans are going to be a factor on this one. I really do. I can't bemoan our luck too much because I thought we had fixtures that went for us last season. It's not always been the case with West Ham. You seem to always play people at the wrong time. You know, if a club has got an injury crisis and all those players come back, you can place money on the fact that West Ham will be the next fixture up when all the players are back and stuff like that. I think we're unlucky with that. But I thought we were lucky last season, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. But they are one of the teams that are raucous and have a good home support, Newcastle. So it's always going to be difficult for anyone to go up there and get anything. I do actually think a draw is a good result in this one, certainly. But if we can get a win, I think it'd be absolutely magnificent. And the funny thing about the transfer window is you build all these things up in your mind because you look at the spending that clubs have done, and it gives you, I don't know, it gives you an idea, it gives you a false idea. But what often happens, as has happened, is promoted clubs come up and make a good showing of it, and that's happened, well, certainly for two of them anyway. And obviously, I think you've got to separate the big clubs as well. I really do. I said that yesterday. I mean, what Man United did, whatever it was, the 5-1, or so, I should really, I've got the fixture, got the results here actually, got the 5-1. Let's just have a little look through it here. It's so Brentford 2-0 against Arsenal. We discussed that. Yeah, it was 5-1 Man United, and yeah, as I say, you've got to discount them. I think Leeds will be all right this season. I think Leeds will have a fair old season, to be fair, and which is, they've just been thrashed 5-1. You could say they're going to struggle. I think they'll be really good. I think Elland Road will be a fortress for them, and I think they've got some good players. And I think a lot of the teams are in our boat. I think there'll be a lot of activity transfer deadline day, as I said. So don't rule out Leeds bringing in another player and a good player on or before transfer deadline day. Leicester City, of course, Jamie Vardy was back in the goal scoring, wasn't he? So they beat Wolves and 1-0, and they're one of the teams that have spent. So, you've got to look at these teams. They started off a loss at Crystal Palace for all their players, that they've brought in. It was always going to be hard for them against Chelsea. Chelsea were rampant, really, at 3-0 and probably should have put more past Palace. But Palace are a funny one, aren't they? Let's be perfectly honest with you, because they're they did this before, didn't they? They got rid of the... Who was it? I have a pragmatic manager. Maybe it was Sam Allardyce. I might have this wrong. But they brought in Ronald de Boer. Have I got that right? They brought in one of the de Boer brothers, certainly, to change things up a bit. Didn't work at all. He was gone, pretty sharpish. I'm doubting myself now. Was it Coco? It was someone Dutch and who was a good player, right? And they ditched him pretty quickly, didn't they? And then they got Roy Hodgson in to solidify them. And I think... And I think Roy did a fantastic job. I've really got to say this. I know it's hard when you're a Palace fan because you look at it and you don't like the football. And I've yet to have anyone tell me if this is the case. But I think that period under Roy Hodgson was the longest Crystal Palace have been in the top flight in my lifetime. I've never known Crystal Palace be in the top flight for that long. So it was an interesting one for them to go a different way, which had Vieira. They've lost there. I mean, the interesting one was Watford's Aston Villa. Because Sarr is a fantastic player. One I certainly have always picked out whenever we're going to go and play Watford's. I thought he's a bloody good player, actually. I wouldn't mind signing him at all ourselves. And Aston Villa, for all their signings, and I think this comes down to it. Well, we won't know until we've played. And even then, after the first round of fixtures, we won't know until... They say you can't judge the league until after 10 games or Christmas. I agree with that, but you can get a vibe after 4 or 5 games, I'm pretty sure. And Watford beating Aston Villa, don't be too massively surprised with that. Aston Villa sold their best player. And as good as Villa will hope that Bailey is, Ings, who scored a 97th-minute penalty or something like that, and we know Ings is a good Premier League player, or Buendia, collectively, they have to be better than Jack Grealish, don't they? And that's not going to be easy. Jack Grealish, statistically, the best dribbler in the Premier League, wins more free kicks than anyone in the Premier League, is one of the best players. I thought when he came on for England, was one of the best players coming off the bench for England. England were one of the best teams in the European Championships by default. I think Grealish was one of the... Had he played more, I think he would have been one of the best players in the European Championships. A good player to lose. A really, really good player. So the other team... I mean, this was really interesting watching this unfold, because Southampton... I think they went one up, and I think it was Armstrong that scored, to a player that we were linked with, who I do think is a good replacement for Ings, because there are similarities in style. I've not seen the goal for that one yet. Actually, I've got match of the day paused actually, which I'll return to in a minute. I'll stay up late, burning the midnight oil. You understand? So Everton actually went and they beat Southampton in the end, which is really weird because Everton haven't really spent. As I said before, Andros Townsend on a free, Damari Gray for 1.9 million. I don't count as spending, really. I'm sure Everton fans don't count that as spending. I'll tell you what, if we'd done that at West Ham, we wouldn't count that as spending either. That being said, they got a good manager, really good manager, Benitez, and Southampton once again sold their best player. We'll have to see how this plays out. I don't think... It's going to be really interesting what Southampton do. It's really important keeping Ward-Prowse, I think. But selling Ings and then selling, was it Vestergaard? I think possibly to Leicester. Southampton lose, one of their top defenders, lose their best attacker. Going to be difficult, but again, I think they'll do business. Everton, a good one. Burnley, again, they went ahead with Tarkowski. Brighton, I do believe, are a good team. I think we sort of struggle against them. They're a hard team to play against when we play against them. That's going to be interesting. Joe, just going back to Aston Villa, what I did think was quite noticeable there with that game is how Watford just sat back and soaked up the pressure and hit them on the break. And they're going to have to be mindful of that, Aston Villa, because they looked very... They're going to have to score a lot of goals, because actually defensively they did not look good defending a counter-attack. So that's going to be interesting. Yes, a Brighton good team. And last but not least, of course, was Norwich City and Liverpool. And this has turned into a bit of a Premier League roundup, which it wasn't meant to be, really. But I'm just excited about the season. Liverpool won 3-0, obviously, against Norwich. And Norwich were okay, really. But again, it's arguably have lost their best player. So I think it's really difficult. And so there is a sort of theme here, which is hang on to your best player because it could get rather tricky for you if you don't, certainly. And this is, I mean, I spoke about Crystal Palace. Chelsea were rampant. Crystal Palace will probably be all right in the season because of their best player, which is Zaha, will normally do enough to keep Palace in the Premier League. So I do think it's really important coming into the end of this that we do keep Declan Rice. This is massively important for us here. I think I'm expecting a good game from Rice today, actually. A really good game from Rice. I think he's got the capacity to dominate that field. Thank goodness Willock didn't sign in time. I say thank goodness Willock. I'm describing him like he's Rude Hullet or something. Do you know what I mean? It's not. But he's a decent player and he played well against us and obviously scored against us last time. Nick Gio made some great points in the preview about Dawson, so there might not be even a decision to make that, quite frankly, because Alves has gone out on loan. Not Alves would have played, but you know what I mean? If Ogbona's not fit, then it's just going to be Diop and Dawson there anyway. It's just whether they play in a 3 or whether they play in a 4. Obviously, if they play in a 3, then Cresswell's going to be alongside them. You would think not, because I think Moyes going to want to get his best players all on the pitch. And third, I think Ben Johnson's going to have a good season, but he's not a starting 11 player. And I think he's going to want Cresswell to be on the pitch and not diluting it more than he has to. I wouldn't be surprised to see Johnson, particularly if we go in the lead. Don't be surprised to see Johnson or Fredericks coming off the bench. I think that's going to be really interesting. Of course, David Moyes not going to have his normal substitution of taking Jared Bowen off, really. And if he does, what's he going to do? I guess Yarmolenko. Maybe will, maybe won't. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. But I think we'll be sharp. I think we'll start fast. We have to, because Newcastle are going to be sharp, and Newcastle are going to start fast. There's no doubt about that at all. I'm excited. I am looking forward to it. So, yeah, well, hopefully, fingers crossed. I'll be on the main channel. So kickoff's at 2. I'll be there an hour and 5 minutes before kickoff. Reading you the teams, going through the lineup. That'll be quite interesting. So I'll stay with you for a little while, then hand over to Charlie, who's going to be doing the watch along. For those that you want to join Charlie for the watch along, I should really have done my research and found out what TV channel we're on tomorrow. I'm just looking now. I can't actually see. Unfortunately, there you go. You'd have to search it yourself. Apologies. But it's at 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock kickoff. And then I'll be back straight away afterwards with the match review. Come straight here. You don't want to listen to... I was going to say don't listen to Gary Neville. If it's on BT, you won't be. I've got a feeling it's on Sky now. Don't listen to Neville and Carragher. Come back and join me for the review. I'll either be dancing with joy or I'll sort of a bit flatlined because we've got a draw, which I would take. Or I'll be raging at a loss. One of those three, probably... Well, I was going to say one of those. We will definitely either win, draw, or lose. I can promise you that. Unless the match is postponed. The match will definitely be ever postponed. It will be a win, a draw, or a loss. I guarantee it. I promise you. I won't let you down on that. So I have the review after that, and then I'll be straight back afterwards later on that evening with the player ratings on the Patreon, and of course, well, I was going to say this morning I'll be there with the Patreon breakfast, but I've probably already done it by the time this video gets done. So you've probably already seen me eating me cornflakes. Not cornflakes, actually, not cornflakes. There's no cornflakes in the cupboard at the moment. It's mostly granola, but I've got to be honest with you. Got peckish a little bit earlier, and we don't normally have loads of crap cereals in there, but there was some frosted shreddies in there. So I've had a bowl of frosted shreddies. I've nicked the kids' frosted shreddies. They shouldn't be having them anyway. There's too much sugar in them. I'm doing them a favour. I'm being a nice dad. I'm stopping the kids from too much sugar. Anyway, I'm waffling now. Enjoy the game. If you're going... have a great time. Really do. Have a great time. And, yeah, if you post any pictures of it on social media, tag in Hammers Chat on Twitter, Hammers_chat, and any crowd scenes or anything like that. That'd be interesting. Actually, going forward, I might start doing a little review or something on here, maybe the day after a game. So, maybe if there are some scenes in whatever, the team running out, rendition of Bubbles or something like that, maybe I'll sort of incorporate some clips from your mobile phone footage into some videos. It might be nice to have a laugh and do that, and make me make me feel a little bit better that I'm actually sat in my shed. Although I will be trying to get to as many games as possible this season. As you know, my circumstances have changed massively, so I'm here with the kids a lot of the time. So I won't be able to get up as much as I can, but I'm looking forward to getting out again. Looking forward to going to the stadium. I'm excited. You can tell I'm excited about the season. Looking forward to it. But let's see how much my mood has changed when you see me next. Actually, not when you see you next. When you see me at sort of, post. I was trying to work out how far afterwards it is. When you see me at about 4 o'clock, let's see how my mood is then.